Nuclear energy is one of the most controversial sources of energy in the world. The damage caused by the Chernobyl and Fukushima disasters has left a deep psychological scar on people's minds. However, we can't ignore the fact that nuclear power plants produce 10% of the world's electricity, and the fact that they don't emit greenhouse gases during operation. So it makes sense to learn how they work. You never know when the knowledge might come in handy. In this video, we'll look at how nuclear power plants work, why they're so dangerous, and why they're still used around the world. Let's start with the basics. What is nuclear energy? Nuclear energy is the energy stored in the nucleus of an atom. When atoms are bombarded with neutrons, they can split into two or more smaller atoms, a process called nuclear fission. This splitting releases even more neutrons, which can go on to split more atoms, causing a chain reaction. If this process is carefully controlled, the energy released can be used to generate heat and then electricity. Let's take uranium as an example. It's commonly used fuel for nuclear reactors. Here's how it works. A uranium atom is bombarded with a neutron. The uranium atom absorbs the neutron and becomes unstable. The unstable atom splits into two or more different daughter products and 3 or 4 neutrons. The newly formed daughter products are also unstable, and they split into different elements, releasing even more neutrons, and the process continues. Each time a uranium atom splits, it releases a tremendous amount of energy, far more than if you were to burn the same amount of coal or natural gas. This energy is first released as heat, which is then used to produce steam. The steam spins a turbine, which powers a generator that produces electricity. Now that we know how nuclear energy is produced, let's take a closer look at how it's used in power plants. Nuclear power plants are complex facilities that require a highly trained workforce to operate safely. They consist of several major components, including the reactor, the steam generator, the turbine, and the condenser. The reactor is the heart of the nuclear power plant. It's where the nuclear fission takes place and the heat is generated. The reactor core is surrounded by a thick steel vessel called the reactor pressure vessel. The pressure vessel is designed to withstand the high pressure and temperature of the water and steam in the reactor. The core is also surrounded by control rods made of materials like boron or cadmium, which absorb neutrons and help control the rate of fission. There are also emergency rods that can be quickly inserted into the core to absorb neutrons and stop the fission reaction in an emergency. The heat generated by the fission reaction is used to heat water in the steam generator. The steam generator is a large vessel that contains water in the form of liquid. The hot water from the reactor core is circulated through the steam generator, where it heats the liquid water. The heated water turns into steam, which is then used to drive the turbine. The turbine is a large rotating machine that converts the energy of the steam into mechanical energy. The high-pressure steam from the steam generator is directed onto the blades of the turbine, causing it to spin. The spinning turbine is connected to a generator, which converts the mechanical energy of the turbine into electrical energy. The electrical output of a single nuclear power plant can reach up to about 1,000 megawatts or more. Finally, the condenser is used to cool the steam back into water so that it can be reused in the steam generator. The steam from the turbine passes through the condenser, where it condenses back into liquid water. The water is then pumped back to the steam generator to be heated and turned into steam again. Now you know how the components of a nuclear power plant work together to generate electricity. But what happens to the nuclear waste produced by the plant? Nuclear waste is a byproduct of the nuclear fission process. It's the material that remains after the uranium has been used to generate heat. Nuclear waste is highly radioactive and can be harmful to humans if not handled properly. Power plants store the waste in special containers on site until it can be transported to a long-term storage facility. Despite the risks associated with nuclear waste, many countries continue to use nuclear power to generate electricity. One reason for this is that nuclear power is a reliable source of energy. Unlike solar and wind power, nuclear power plants can generate electricity around the clock regardless of the weather. Another advantage of nuclear power is that it's a highly efficient way of generating electricity. A single nuclear power plant can generate enough electricity to power a city of hundreds of thousands of people. Additionally, nuclear power is a low-carbon-emitting source of energy. Unlike coal and natural gas, nuclear power plants don't emit any greenhouse gases during operation, making them an attractive option for countries looking to reduce their carbon footprint. However, despite the advantages of nuclear power, there are still significant concerns about its safety. If something goes wrong at a nuclear power plant, the consequences can be devastating. In 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in Ukraine released large amounts of radiation into the environment, causing widespread contamination and health problems. Similarly, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster in Japan in 2011 resulted in the release of radioactive material and the evacuation of thousands of people. These disasters highlighted the potential dangers of nuclear power and led to increased calls for safety measures. But here's the thing, nuclear power plants are designed with multiple layers of safety features to prevent accidents. These include backup systems for critical equipment, as well as procedures for safely shutting down the plant in case of an emergency. In addition, nuclear power plants are subject to strict regulations and oversight by government agencies. Regular inspections and tests are conducted to ensure that the plant is operating safely and that the safety systems are functioning properly. Despite these measures, however, the risk of nuclear accidents can never be completely eliminated, and the potential consequences of such accidents are so severe that many people remain opposed to nuclear power. Now let's discuss why nuclear power is still used despite the risks involved. One reason is that nuclear power is a reliable and efficient way of generating electricity. As we mentioned earlier, nuclear power plants can operate continuously and produce large amounts of electricity, making them an attractive option for countries with high energy demands. Another reason is that nuclear power is a low-carbon-emitting source of energy, which is becoming increasingly important as countries around the world work to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. Additionally, nuclear power provides energy independence, which is particularly important for countries that rely on imported fossil fuels. By using nuclear power, countries can reduce their dependence on foreign energy sources and increase their energy security. Finally, advances in nuclear technology have made nuclear power plants safer and more efficient than ever before. New reactor designs, such as small modular reactors, are highly resistant to accidents and produce less nuclear waste, making them an appealing option for countries looking to invest in nuclear power. To sum it all up, nuclear energy is a highly controversial topic. While nuclear power plants do produce electricity without emitting greenhouse gases, they do pose a serious risk to human health and the environment. Accidents at nuclear power plants can cause widespread contamination and long-term health problems, as seen in Chernobyl and Fukushima. However, nuclear power plants are designed with multiple layers of safety features to prevent accidents, and advances in nuclear technology have made them safer and more efficient than ever before. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to use nuclear energy is a complex one that involves weighing the risks and benefits. As we move towards a more sustainable future, it's important to have a thorough understanding of the pros and cons of nuclear energy so that we can make informed decisions about its use. If you enjoyed this video, check out our video on how solar panels work, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.